Yeah, I can explain. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris. This is my second attempt at recording this video. The first one I realized was over 35 minutes long, way too long. I tried to chop it up, but it looked way too choppy. So I'm going to be a lot quicker with this video, mainly explaining what's behind me, my new to me 2023 Mini Cooper SE, after being in my GTI only five and a half months. Long story short, going back to a gas car after 6 or 7 years in EVs, even though it is back to a beloved GTI. After 5 to 6 months, I just really wasn't happy with it. My driving habits are a lot different now. I work from home. I still force myself to get out of the house literally every day. I think it's kind of important when you're working from home to try to force yourself to get out, so you're not home for 4 or 5 days at a time and realize you haven't left the house. That being said, I love to drive my GTI. Going back to paying for gas was kind of a wake-up call, especially now here in Massachusetts. 93 octane is about 419, 429 a gallon. And I was going back to about $150, $200 a month just in gas. I got the GTI mainly to go back to a GTI, but also to save a little money off of the Volvo C40 that I had before. Literally, half the car payments for the GTI compared to the Volvo. So I was saving, about $325 a month with the GTI. But now you're adding back $150, $200 a month with gas. It is what it is. I did do a few things to the GTI, as you can see from my previous videos, but it just wasn't clicking. I can't explain it. It's a personal preference. It just wasn't clicking for me after 7 years in EVs. I missed the linear acceleration with EVs. The GTI was very quick, especially after the tune, so that helped with. There really isn't that much of a turbo lag in the GTI to begin with, but the tune really helped to get rid of that, especially at launch. And I also did a DSG tune, so the shifts were a lot quicker than stock as well. But the instant torque of an EV is just something, especially for a semi-performance enthusiast that I am. That instant torque of an EV is really addicting. So after the cost with gas and the performance, which I guess was kind of the first and second reason. The third reason, I wasn't really too happy with the car, actually. It was a 2021, had about 24,000 miles on it when I bought it. It was my sixth GTI, and I have never had anything that was as squeaky and as loose, I guess you would call it, as this car was. I couldn't explain it. Evidently, I had a Mark 7 before, but it was a regular S model. Actually, technically, it was a 2017 Sport, which was an S model with a few other things put onto it, but it did not have a moonroof. And actually, quite a few of my GTIs, I did not have a moonroof. I don't like moonroofs or sunroofs. So this was my first GTI in a long time with the moonroof. I don't know if that had anything to do with the stability or rigidity of the chassis, but the doors squeaked, and I tried every solution that I could find online. And evidently, this is a somewhat of a big problem with Mark 7 and 7.5. Mine was a 7.5. The door seals creak. You put some special lube on it. Sometimes that helps, sometimes it doesn't. It didn't help with me. The same thing with the seals around the moonroof. You're supposed to put some type of lube, some type of silicone there. Didn't really work for me. So it was a very noisy car, which I was very disappointed with. Of course, going through Carvana, I couldn't test drive it, and I really didn't notice it the first couple of days because I was enjoying the car. But then I was actually able to talk with the previous owner as well, and he said that he didn't notice it. But going from the Volvo C40, which was one an EV, so it was pretty much silent. Two, it's a Volvo, so it was, built like a tank and was completely silent. To this, which literally felt like I was driving around in a 15-year-old Camry. It sounded like I was driving around in a 15-year-old Camry. The pre-owned market has been crazy since COVID. I mean, it's up and down, and so the changes are so drastic that I actually watch my cars. I jump online to see the value and the trade-in value of my cars all the time, just for, who knows? You never know when you're just going to find the perfect moment to, to make some extra money. So after 5.5 months, I started doing that with the GTI, and I miss my Mini Cooper, the 2020 that I had before. That was four or 5 years ago that I had that. I kicked myself that I traded it in. I told myself that the 120-mile range was, I needed more. And, my daily driving habits, no. I didn't need more. After a few years now with, after the Mini Cooper, I went into the Polestar 2. Then after that, I went into the Volvo, etc. All of those had 250 plus miles, and I didn't need it, especially with home charging. So I started thinking about going back to a Cooper. It was my favorite one out of all the EVs that I've owned. It really truly reminds me of the old two-door GTIs that I love, that we just haven't gotten here in the United States in a decade or something like that, maybe even more. So that's what I started to look for, just for shits and giggles. I wasn't serious about anything until I put in all the information for my GTI as far as trade-in value. And now usually when you buy or finance a car, 5.5 months later, as far as trade-in value goes, maybe your retail value, there is some equity, especially if you put something down on the car, on your pre-owned car. But trade-in value, no, you're probably waiting at least a year or more of car payments before you get into any type of equity. But what shocked me is I had almost $4,000 in equity with trade-in value that Carvana was giving for my car, and that drastically spiked over the summer compared to when I bought it in May. I believe it was May or late April. And when I was doing all this research to trade it in, the resale value just jumped through the roof. So I think that was the catalyst to start looking for another one of these. I did eventually find one in the color that I wanted it, and this is a 2023 Mini Cooper SE. It is the facelift. I kind of prefer the one that I had before, the 2020, because it did have the fog lights. I think the front end looked a little better. But this is a 2023. It only had 13,000 miles on it, and was $3,500 less than what I bought my GTI for 5 or 6 months before. My GTI was a 2021 with 25,000 miles on it. So I pulled the trigger, and I'm not sorry that I did. This car is a lot more fun than my GTI. Even my GTI with the tune, it's even though it's slower. I mean, technically, it is quicker and faster than a stock GTI, but my GTI had the tune, so of course it was quicker. But I think this is a lot more fun, especially going around corners. Even though I had the springs on my GTI, this one's still a lot better in the corners. It's a little bit smaller. It has the center of gravity is lower because the battery's in the floor. I actually, off the top of my head, I don't know what the weight is. I don't know. I assume this one is a little bit heavier than the GTI, just because that's just the way that EVs run. They're always a lot heavier. I find the interior better. I find the interior made better. I like the seats better. I did have an SE. The GTI that I had was an SE, had leather seats. I'm not a fan of the leather seats. I always got the plaid seats in the GTIs and all my GTIs. This was my first one with leather seats. I really wasn't. They were comfortable, but I'm kind of a smaller frame person, so when I went around a corner, I kind of slid a little bit in the leather. Whereas these have the fabric inserts, and they're perfect. The sound system is a lot better in the Mini, the Harman Kardon sound system. Actually, the Harman Kardon sound system in this Mini, and also my Mini before, better than the Polestar, the Volvo, the BMW, and many cars that I've had before. It sounds perfect. I'm not sure if it's the cabin size because it's so small, but whatever. I really enjoy it. So a couple more things quickly on the Mini. It did have a chrome belt line that I blacked out. Thankfully, unlike my last Mini, which had a white top and I needed to vinyl wrap it, this one already had a black top. I've done things to the front, specifically I like this highlighter green accent color that the SEs have, so I put a little strip on the front. Also blacked out all the emblems as well. I do have a set of H&R springs for it, which I'll install sometime soon, probably in the spring. Along with some better wheels. These just have the stock 17-inch wheels. The 18-inch wheels that I had on the GTI I still have, but unfortunately they're too wide for the Mini. So I still have to peel off the bronze Plastidip so I can sell those. So otherwise, that's that. That's the reason why I have the Mini SE. The other reason why I wanted to make this video was to announce a pivot in the channel. I grew this channel a few years ago to almost 3,500 subscribers. It's down to about 3 grand now. But I grew it to about 3,500 subscribers by literally by buying another car every 6 or 7 months, doing stuff to that car and then getting another car and then doing that for a couple of years. And that became tiresome, also financially tiresome. So when I got my first EV, which is I made a video on, which is the BMW i3, after that there was a 6-year break. Then I came back with my GTI. But I quickly realized that I couldn't sustain that type of video making with those types of subjects, as far as a different mod every week or a different car every 6 or 7 months. So the pivot, as you probably see by the title of this channel now, is called Infinite Static. I do want to cover the world of EVs because it really is our future, and there are some really great things happening with EVs that I think that we're going to, over the next 5 years or so, I think that it's really, we're already at a turning point, but I think it's just going to accelerate that. Well, here in the United States, probably after the current administration is gone, that will help. But that's not stopping the rest of the world. So as far as reporting news and opinion on EV tech, car tech, maybe even bumping into a little bit of AI that may tie in to automobiles and other types of vehicles, for my channel and for views and for where I think I can get traffic from, the car review, the car mod, the car YouTuber space is so saturated, completely saturated. So a 54-year-old guy like me is just not going to break into that area with any success whatsoever. So I hope you can stick around. If not, I totally understand, because it is a total pivot as to what I've been posting on this channel for so many years. It'll be very informative, hopefully entertaining. Again, will be news and opinion. I'll also want to go live maybe a few times, like when a major car manufacturer has an event going on. I would love to go live for stuff like that, or even like live weekly to answer questions and to talk with all of you. Otherwise, I'll talk to you soon, and subscribe if you will.